former CEO, Google CEO, Eric Schmidt, is skeptical about the metaverse concept. And that I feel so validated because I'm very skeptical about the metaverse concept. And to have a smart person say that he is, I think, yeah, see?
Didn't Elon Musk touch on this like quite a while ago?
Did he?
Yeah, he said something like putting a TV on your face doesn't change the world. Something like that.
Eric Schmidt, who was CEO of Google, has declared that there is confusion about the concept of the metaverse and what it means for people. Schmidt stated that even with a company like the former Facebook pivoting its operations to occupy the metaverse market, there is still not a clear definition of the concept and how it will affect people's lives. And I agree. I feel like there's a lot more hype around it than what is. I think I don't know. So the metaverse. What is the metaverse? How would you describe it?
It's basically, I would describe it as an immersive internet, essentially. So basically, you put on a sort of augmented reality thing, and then you go in, and instead of going on a website to buy your shoes, you walk your little character into a shoe shop, and you can sort of pick things up and look over them and stuff like that, and you can interact with your friends more like that. It's just literally an augmented reality version of the internet.
Yes, you see, I think that augmented reality has a future, 100%. The metaverse that I've been like, what you constantly hear about is people buying land in the metaverse because it's going to go up in value because everyone's going to want this land, and I think that's probably true. But like, go on.
It's created land.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
You can just create more and more and more and more. It's unlimited land. Why would you buy any of it?
I thought I just silenced my phone, but apparently not. That's. I mean, you've already got games where there's scarce resources, and like that, there's got to be a reason why people would buy land in that thing. Like they can't just go, oh, it's digital 3D land that you can walk all over in your VR goggles, so I must buy it before someone else buys it. There's got to be a reason why you want, because there's going to be lots of different companies. There's not going to be the metaverse, is there? Because no one's going to agree on what the metaverse is. This company's going to have their metaverse, and this company's going to have their metaverse, and they're going to say, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll just connect all of the metaverses together. But then I think you have a kind of a tragedy of the commons situation where, I mean, it costs nothing to create this stuff, so you just create more of it, unless you want to. And I don't know. It's a very, with NFTs now. So NFTs are like you can buy a unique digital token, and that can represent art or it can represent anything. But now they're making it so NFTs are, you can get paid dividends from your NFTs, or your NFT can basically be a key card that gets you into a chat room on the internet.
Yeah.
So
I personally think that I feel myself drawn away from the internet now. Like, I'm not as interested. I'd rather be. I feel like the internet should have been just a tool to enhance your life, not your life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like there's kind of a trend in that direction. People they're not as interactive on social media. They're just sort of going about their daily business. More and more people just sort of deactivating it, or just like deleting the main app and keeping the chat app just so that they can still interact with people directly. Yeah.
that is my sentiment exactly. It's like, what about reality? Like, what, everyone's going to stick on their VR goggles and they're going to be walking around, like, how could you, like, imagine you just went like, right, okay, I've got 10 grand, I'm going to go buy some land in the metaverse, and you go and buy this land, and then you're like, okay, I'm walking on it, Like, I clicked a button and now I've got a house. Like, you're taking money out of the real world that's going to make a real difference in your life. And I think what people think is that it's going to become so immersive that, like, we're going to have these haptic suits, and it's going to become very, very real, and you can do things in the metaverse that you can't do in real life. But then who's going to make the food, and who's going to make the energy to do this? Who's going to make the computers? Who's going to make the VR goggles? Like, the value in what's going on in reality will go up because people will value actually producing it less and wanting to go onto the metaverse and play with their digital doggy, and that's it. Like, I just think that you can't get away from the necessities of life. It kind of makes me think of investing in general, like, especially now that we have like currency issues. I was thinking, okay, no, it's a tangent. We've got to learn to suppress our tangent. Shall I make a note?
I was
hold on. Are you going off on a tangent?
No, it was related.
Okay,
but unfortunately,
I've knocked out your head.
Yes.
I just knocked out what I was gonna write down. Oh God. But yeah, no, the metaverse, that's what we're trying to talk about without going on to everything else.
Of course, yeah. So I can never really see I'm not an early adopter type.
No.
I can never see the benefit until it's sort of staring me in the face. So, there may be some value to it, but just the thought of it to me just does not interest me whatsoever.
No.
There's no interest in me at all.
It's a case of not only do I don't want it to succeed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It sounds very depressing and dystopian. You know, everyone's just connected up to their computers like it's the Matrix. Like, that's what it seems like. You're gonna have these mega corporations that produce everything with the robots because everyone's voted for politicians to put the minimum wage up to like $50 an hour, and now companies can't hire anyone, so they get loads of robots to build everything, and they make all the electricity, and they make all the food and stuff, and then like we're in these haptic suits with our VR goggles, and like we're doing stuff on that game to like create value and energy, which then are given back to these corporations, and it literally becomes like the Matrix, except with really bad graphics.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of two things. One, I tried to get into Black Mirror at one point. It's very, very strange, and I remember this one episode. They're living in some sort of like living facility, and they are like they go on exercise. They earn points by going on exercise bikes, and the exercise bikes are like making energy for the grid or whatever. But it also reminds me of WALL-E. Have you ever seen WALL-E?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all on the ship, and their experiences are through virtual reality, and all these just giant fat slobs, and they're just laying around on like floating chairs that just sort of buzz them around. They can't even walk anymore. Yeah, and they're just like stuffing themselves and just VR goggling everything. And I know what you mean.
So it's just a sad world. I don't want us to get to that. As you said, I want technology to help enhance our real experience, not to take us away from our real experience. And that's why I think augmented reality is great, and I'd like to see. I bet there's been a lot of developments in that, and just the market tends to give people what they want and not what they don't want. And I think a lot of people don't want that, the metaverse. And I think that it's the same as like the Google glasses. Like, companies can propose, but the public disposes. What's that phrase from? Who proposes and who disposes? I've heard that. You've never heard that?
New one to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's like in the free market, companies propose and the public disposes. So like Apple, like we think people are going to like flat phones with no buttons, and everyone's like, "You're crazy! You're crazy! Oh my God, I love my phone." And then, like, you've got Google, like, yeah, we think people are going to want to be recorded by geeks with glasses on. And we're like, no, actually, we don't want that. And that's the thing. One of the trends that I've found over the past, like, well, just especially getting into economics and market theory and all that sort of stuff, it's like there's a lot of things that we're scared of, but the market generally, in the end, gives people what they want. Not what they don't want. So one of the popular beliefs is that we're not going to have any privacy in the future. And this is one thing that Joe Rogan keeps saying, is like, we're not going to have any privacy because, like, we've got all this technology and we've got a microphone here. I've got a microphone here, got a microphone here, there, cameras everywhere. I've got 25 cameras everywhere. And therefore we're not going to have privacy. When, in my opinion, people value privacy, and therefore solutions are going to be proposed, and the public will dispose. So, like, the public will buy privacy-enhancing devices. I mean, for example, like Facebook, they've got this thing. I can't remember what it's called. It goes in your living room, it goes on your TV, and it means that you can, like, FaceTime with the whole room, and it's really good. It zooms in, zooms out, but it's got a catch to just flip over the camera. They know that people want that. It's very interesting.
You'd be surprised how many people come into my shop and they've got something just stuck over like a little bit of blue tack or something stuck over the front of the selfie camera.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, you could actually make a case that's just like a regular case that covers the camera and pops over the front-facing camera and just leaves the ear speaker and proxy sensor exposed for phone calls and stuff. And then you could just pop it open if you want to use it and pop it back closed again. That would actually be a really good idea.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that on air. I should have developed it myself.
But yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example. When people are having to, like, just bodge their own solution to something in the market, you know, there's a
demand.
There's a demand. And it doesn't necessarily mean a demand for a product. Like, what you need to understand is that is privacy is what people want. And therefore, I think, and we are seeing signs of it, but of course, what the corporations want is that they want to know, you know, when you go to the loo, when you go to sleep, when you burp.
You would not believe the data that your phone is collecting on you.
I know.
It's insane. Like, it knows just from your movements and stuff like that. It knows if you're driving, if you're walking.
Yeah.
Like,
it knows an
a flight of stairs,
unbelievable
stuff like that. But I was also thinking that maybe this augmented reality situation, maybe they're presenting it because costs are just going to continue to go up and people can barely afford to live. And they will find a solution where people can live in their pods and eat bugs, and then they get into their augmented reality and they can have the fake happiness that they need to keep working and producing. That sounds very dystopian. But yeah, it makes me think of that Stefan Molyneux. Remember the first ever video we ever found of Stefan Molyneux? It was like
God, you love a bit of Stefan Molyneux.
I do. I'm a big fan. The story of your enslavement. That's it.
Yeah,
awesome.
I vaguely remember that. I'm blanking. What's wrong? I know what's wrong. I've just had some garlic bread, and the wheat is messing with me. I'm not even kidding. I think that's what's happened. What were you just saying
about the cameras that like cases that go over, or about the augmented reality?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking more about the cases.
Yeah.
And the demand for the for privacy.
Yeah.
I think that that's what I was going to say. The corporations don't want your privacy, but you do. And so we've got lots of products that are taking away our privacy, and they're hinting at, like, oh, look, you know, you can do this and to try and improve your privacy. But I think that as time goes on in this world where we're basically being surveilled constantly, and the more adverts start popping up when you just talk about, I was talking about Freddos I rang Claire, and I was talking about Freddos over the phone, and I got a Freddo advert on Instagram.
I mean, that's pretty undeniable.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
That's
I'm
insane.
a 35-year-old man, and I got an advert for, like, I never talk about...
You're not Googling Freddos, are you?
No, I didn't Google it at all. Yeah, I was on the phone because Chester wanted some Freddo treasures. So yeah, and then I've got adverts. The more stuff like this goes on, I think the more people are going to say, you know, I want privacy. The thing is that I don't actually mind being targeted for ads. Like, I don't mind.
Yeah, especially when they are relevant. They're super relevant.
So, yeah, relevant and like what I've been searching for. It's like, especially if I've been going onto a website. What I don't like is when the microphone has been listening to me when it should not be listening to me. It's undeniable. It's not like something that when I say undeniable, it is easy to deny. It's plausible deniability, but you know, it happens again and again and again, and it keeps happening to a lot of people. And it's like I'm certain that that's what's going on. Anyway, I think that the market will eventually demand privacy, and I think the market, you know, I think the idea of Metaverse taking away more of my time.
But then you do also get politicians that like to overpower the market with mandates and edicts. So if you don't want privacy anymore, and then one of their big donors comes up to them and says, we're actually losing a lot of revenue because of this situation, and then the government comes along and blows something up, blames it on a domestic T-word, and then next thing you know, you've got a domestic T-word bill, which gives them access to any camera, anytime, and then your privacy's gone again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's... I mean, that's slightly different. Like, they would be making the case for, like, you know, like the government or the police having access to cameras and microphones and stuff, but then to say, okay, yeah, we're gonna let Facebook track everything. You know, that's another thing. But
the market wins in the end.
I think so. And even with like politicians putting through bills that go against what the public wants, I think that even that in the end will be overcome. It depends on the demand, like the severity of the demand, and I think the severity of the demand for privacy is going to go up in the future. It just think about that. Joe Rogan, he said it many times over the years. There will be no privacy in the future. I think what he's actually referring to is like technologies where it's going to be like you're going to read minds and stuff. But again, like those technologies are going to be created by companies unless we're going to go into a world where we are forced to wear certain technologies. Then it's going to be products that are provided by private companies, in which case people are going to say, like, I'd like to be able to keep my thoughts to myself. Is that all right? Like, and they're not going to buy a company that says, no, we're going to read your thoughts and we're going to telegraph your thoughts. And then I suppose it becomes like, you know, is that going to get hacked? You know, are you going to have your brain interface hacked?
I do always think about like I'm just thinking about phones constantly because that's what I do, and thinking about how Apple like to basically with each iOS they bring up things that will just make your device slower and just things just not look great.
Programmed obsolescence.
Yeah, and I remember when I went and I fixed an iPhone 4 for someone, and it was only a couple of years old at the time, but it was like still considered old. But it had been sitting in a drawer and it hadn't been updated, and it was so fast, and the camera looked absolutely amazing.
Sorry, what model did you say it was?
iPhone 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And it just makes me think that will someone at some point be able to hack it and build an operating system on top of it so that you can actually continue to use your phone indefinitely?
Yeah, well, that's I think something that should be done. 100%, yeah.
And I always think about Linux as well. Like, you've got Linux sitting there. Why haven't people built on Linux?
Yeah, something that can go onto an iPhone.
Yeah, not even just on an iPhone, onto anything. I'd rather be using Linux than Windows. I mean, Windows is better than Apple-ish. Actually, they're probably about the same, but
iOS.
Yeah.
Why do you say that? You can use you can use Linux as opposed to iOS. Well,
I don't know how to use it
as opposed to Windows.
I don't know how to use it, and this is the thing. It's like, but how many programs and apps and stuff like? So, could you do all of this stuff on Linux?
I guess so.
You guess so. Do you know so?
I have no idea.
Did you see a Linux?
I didn't look for it.
No, but like, build on Linux. Just keep doing it. Integrate it with blockchain.
No, Linux build on iPhone, so that we can do away with this programmed obsolescence, and you can just change your battery every couple of years, and that way you can.
Yeah, and you break your camera, you break your screen, you can change all that. Housing gets a bit hammered, like you can change all of those bits and bobs. That'd be awesome.
So yeah, just an interesting end to the metaverse conversation.
Yeah.
Meta is to slow hiring in 2022. Hints at layoffs after metaverse pivot. So, and I think they have actually let go of like 100 people or something like that. So yeah, metaverse. I mean, they can't even say what it is yet. And yet they've changed their name, and it kind of makes me feel like they're just hyping. They're just pumping themselves up, because we still, like, if they had a viable business model, we would know what metaverse is about. And he recently said that he thinks that there'll be like 7 billion people on metaverse.
I think these layoffs are sort of correlated with Zuckerberg coming to the realization that not everyone is as much of a geek as he is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, maybe there isn't going to be 7 people on Metaverse.
Yeah, so it's just funny because Eric Schmidt's like talking smack about it, and then
is he talking Schmidt?
Yeah, he's talking a load of Schmidt. Yeah, and now, you know, Zuckerberg's letting people go. So very interesting.